Hello and welcome to Unemployment and You. My name is Eric Salinger and I am a staff attorney at Alaska Legal Services. I know right now is a very scary and stressful time, but you need to know that you are not alone. You are going through this unemployment process with over 36,000 other Alaskans, but also you have Alaska Legal Services right here by your side, ready to help out. So just a little bit about who we are first. We were established in 1967 as a private nonprofit law firm. We provide free legal services to low-income clients, and we do that for 7,000 Alaskans every year. We do that statewide in every community with issues from divorce to domestic violence protective orders to consumer finance law to fair housing and now to unemployment. So if you have a civil legal issue, we're always here to help. Now, a little bit about who qualifies for unemployment. I need to start this section with a really big, it depends. So right now, things are changing very quickly. The federal government has expanded who's eligible for unemployment benefits with a new category called pandemic insurance. Traditionally, if you were working for yourself or an independent contractor or a gig worker, you would not be eligible. But then the federal government passed the CARES Act, expanding that definition. Now, states, including Alaska, are working to change their unemployment rules to expand that. But right now, Alaska still doesn't have the policies and procedures in place for that yet. Also, the state has done some expanding of its definition as well, while those policies are pending. So really the best thing I can say is when in doubt, apply. If you've been laid off, even if you have a return date, apply. If your hours have been reduced but you're still working some, apply. If you are working but you're on call, you can still apply. And even if you've quit your job or you're fired, you might still be eligible for benefits. If your work has been impacted by COVID-19, you may be eligible for benefits, but the only way to know for sure is to apply. Now, the best way to do that right now is on your My Alaska account. That's the same website that you would apply for your PFD at. It's my.alaska.gov. Right now, the state's phone lines are incredibly overloaded. So if at all possible, you're going to want to try and do this online by going to my.alaska.gov and clicking on unemployment insurance benefits. You're going to need your social security number, contact information for your last employer, dates of your last employment, when you started and when you finished, and earnings in that last week. If you're a federal employee, you're going to need your SF-8 and SF-50. And if your last job was working for the military, you're going to need a DD-214. If you can't access the internet or create a My Alaska account, you can, in Anchorage, Fairbanks, and Juneau, call these numbers from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if you are somewhere that is underserved by broadband, so usually these are going to be off the road system areas, so your whole area is underserved, you can call the statewide number. That's 1-888-252-2557. Again, that's 1-888-252-2557 or 1-888-25-CALLS. Like I said before, these phone lines are very overloaded, so it can be hard to get through to keep calling. A little bit about how much you're going to receive. So the minimum benefit from the state is $56 per week. The maximum benefit is $370 per week. Now, I'm putting these into separate categories because they're really separate pools of money. The state has a maximum benefit of $370 per week, but the federal government adds $600 per week to everyone's check right now. So if you're getting the maximum benefit, you would get a total of $970 per week. But you also get benefits per each dependent. That's a new recent change to up it to $75. A dependent is somebody generally that resides with you or that you provide over 50% of their financial support. Uh, they have to generally be under 18 and unmarried unless they're permanently disabled, and you need to have a legal relationship with them. That means they can't just be somebody that's living in your house. They need to be your child or somebody that you have court-appointed control over, and you're sort of in charge of them in the way a parent may be. So those benefits are going to last up to 39 weeks. Now, how are those benefits decided? They're calculated on a sliding scale. So they're based on the amount that you earned in the first 4 of the last 5 calendar quarters. Now that's the default. That can be changed to the last 4 quarters generally to calculate your income. So incomes over $42,000 are going to receive that maximum of $370 per week. Even if that income was $1 million, the state benefit you're going to get is that $370. But if your income was lower, if it was $2,500 in the first 2 quarters with $250 outside of your high quarter, then you're going to get that minimum of $56 a week. And that will scale up from there as you earn, your income increases, you're going to get a higher benefit. The goal of this is to try and put you in a closer situation to what you were. So hopefully we're not seeing as many people who aren't able, to make rent and put food on the table. Now, if you have dependents, you get that additional $75 a week per each dependent. So if you have 10 dependents, then it's an extra $750 a week. Now, if you receive you will receive an additional $600 a week from the Federal CARES Act. So that's on top of the state benefit. Now, how do you get those benefits? By default, they're going to come in a state-issued credit card, but you can sign up for direct deposit instead. And for a lot of people, that might be easier. So you'd go to my.alaska.gov, select unemployment insurance benefits, and you need your account number and routing number to do that. If you still are one of those people that uses checks, that's right at the bottom of your check. If not, you can get that from whatever your bank's online banking system is, should be part of your account statements. Okay, so you've gone through the whole process, you've gone through all the weights, you've gotten everything into them that needs to be into them, and you've been approved. Now what? So traditionally, you would have to file biweekly claims, and those claims would need not only what you earned in those 2 weeks, but also proof that you've been applying for full-time work and done the department's classes. But we are not in a traditional time, and the state has made some changes. First of which is changing the biweekly claims to weekly. So hopefully that will speed things up for people a little bit. But they've also removed the requirement that you be actively searching for work, and they've paused the requirement that you do their classes. So that may change in the future, but for right now, these weekly reports need to include any employers that you've worked for, your employment status, and any wages that you've received. That's also going to include tips, commissions, room and board, stipend, back pay, cost of living adjustments, per diem, bonuses, in addition to just your regular wages. Now, for people that are independent contractors or self-employed, these definitions are probably going to have to get massaged a little bit, but that should be coming in the next few weeks. If you don't send these weekly claims, then you can't get benefits for that week. Also, the first $50 that you earn in that week is going to be disregarded. It won't reduce your benefits, but everything after that is going to reduce your benefits on sort of a sliding scale. Now, where to file these? You can do that at your same my.alaska.gov website. That is going to be the easiest way to do it because you can do that 24 hours a day and there aren't wait lines. But if you don't have access to a computer, you can do that over the state's phone system, which is called Victor. And the most important thing to know is to not hang up until your claim has been accepted. If you hang up before Victor tells you your claim has been accepted, then your claim has not been accepted and you waited all that time for nothing. So do not hang up. Make sure you've got a good phone signal. Now, if you're within 55 driving miles from a job center, you can do that just on Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you are more than 55 miles from a job center, you can do that Wednesday to Saturday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. But if you've got access to a computer and a broadband, this is a really good time to sign up for a My Alaska account. Now, what happens if you disagree, either with whether you're eligible for benefits at all, or the amount of your benefits, or to who's counted as a dependent, or really any written determination the department makes? You can appeal that. The key takeaway here is that you only have 30 days to make that appeal. Sometimes there's a few extra days for when that written decision was mailed to you, but generally it's 30 days for you to appeal it. Now you can send that appeal by phone, by fax, by mail, by email. Eventually they're going to want that written request from you, but just to get the ball rolling. You can send that appeal in almost any way as long as you're sending it in timely. It is possible to send a late appeal, but then you kind of have to explain why it was late, and it is up to the appeals officer about whether or not they're going to accept an untimely appeal. Generally, you would get a hearing notice from the appeals officer within 10 days. During this current crisis, I imagine that will be delayed a little bit, but you want to make sure you stay in touch with the appellate unit to make sure that they have received everything you sent, especially if you're sending it by mail or by fax. Now, even before the pandemic, these hearings happened almost entirely over the phone. That is definitely going on now. At the hearing, there's going to be an appeals officer. They do work for the Department of Labor, but they're sort of a separate unit from the person who made your initial decision. There's somebody who's very well versed in unemployment law, and they will take your testimony of any other parties that show up. So your employer would have a right to be there. Sometimes somebody from the Department of Labor might be there as well, depending on what the issue is, and also any witnesses that you want to bring. So you can have anyone testify as long as their testimony is relevant and essential to your case. But if that person is unwilling to just show up on the phone, you can call the appeals officer and get what's called a subpoena. So subpoena is a court document that would require somebody to make themselves available for court. So you're not, without a witness just because your boss or your supervisor is not willing to be on the phone. You can also submit written evidence. That might be, pay stubs or the letter you got laying you off from your employer. You just want to make sure that you do that in advance of the hearing so the appeals officer has had a time to look at that. Now, after the hearing, you'll receive a decision in the mail. If you disagree with that decision, though, you still have a right to appeal. Appeal that up one level up in the department to the commissioner. And then if you disagree with their decision, you could appeal that even further to state court. The key here is make sure you're still filing your weekly or in the future biweekly claims throughout the entire appeal process. Because if the decision goes in your favor, any weeks that you hadn't timely filed those claims are weeks that you can't get back benefits. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping up to date with that, even if the department is continuing to deny you, because if you win your appeal, you get back benefits from the date you started your appeal for every week that you timely filed. You're going to want to send your appeal the easiest way to their email address, which is appeals@alaska.gov. You can also do it on their website, labor.alaska.gov/appeals. You can also do it by their P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 115509, Juneau, Alaska. That's 99811. You can do it by fax, 907-465-3374. You can do it at their 1-800 number. So that's 1-800-232-4762. Like I said, they will need a written copy of the appeal eventually. But if you're having any problems with your appeal or the legal process, or have questions, or feel like your appeal is unique and you need help in any way, you can do that once you filed your appeal by calling 1-888-478-2572. So again, we're 1-888-478-2572. And we're here to help with sort of the legal side of it. Once you've applied and been denied, or you don't think your benefits are correct, or they're not counting your dependents correctly, or whatever the issue is after you've applied, you can apply with Alaska Legal Services, and we take cases based on a client's financial situation and the legal need of each independent case. So that was unemployment and you, but there's certainly going to be a lot more information coming than what I can fit into this presentation, especially if you are somebody who is self-employed in any way. You're going to want to check the Department of Labor's website. That's labor.alaska.gov/unemployment, because that's where the most up-to-date information is going to be as these new policies and procedures come into place. Now, I know that was a lot coming at you all at once. Hopefully that was helpful. I know it is stressful and scary enough just dealing with the world today, and to add on top of it having to apply for unemployment. But just remember, you are not alone in this, and Alaska Legal Services is always here to help in any way that we can. Thank you.